Hello everyone, I'm doing a Hummer H2 buyer's guide. I want to give you guys a quick idea about what I've done to the vehicle so you can feel confident watching my video. The reason I say that is because there's a lot of people out there, they make reviews of the vehicle. They don't actually own the vehicle. They drive it around the block, they take it for a test drive, and they act like they're experts on the actual vehicle. So I've owned the vehicle for a little over 2 years now. I've put on about 15,000 miles. I've done a ton of work on it. Water leaks, oil leaks, air leaks. More or less rebuilt the entire engine, or got as close as you can to without taking the engine out of the vehicle. I dropped the transmission, rebuilt the transmission with high quality Sonex parts, including 3/4 input drum, put in headers, cats, put in exhaust. I dropped the fuel tank, new fuel pump, U-joints, new mirrors, replaced one of the doors, electrical issues, DTC codes, just ton of work. Literally took me, almost 2 years to get all the codes and everything cleaned up on the vehicle. So let's dive in. First step when it comes to purchasing a Hummer H2, you need to decide, do you want an SUV or an SUT? Let's talk about the SUVs first. The SUV, there's 3 runs, 03 to 04, 05 to 07, 08 to 09. The main differences between the 03 and the 05 to 07 are on the airbag. On 2003 it says Hummer. Starting in 2004 it just says H2, and then the global window feature didn't come into effect until the 2005 year. 2008, 2009 have a better interior, but they do not have the armrest. So for me, that's a big deal. These mirrors, these are the right mirrors. These came out in 2006. Those are the correct mirrors to the vehicle. If a vehicle is a 2003 or 2005, you want to see if it has these mirrors. If the chrome mirrors fail, and what happens is it gets all rusted out and the mirror just fails while you're driving. It just folds in, so you can't actually use your mirrors. Super sketchy. Now I have the wheat interior, and I have seen the black interior in person. The black interior is the nicer interior. However, the wheat interior has, it's like a tray. I actually forgot my keys. It's got a tray that, see that center console? That's not on the black interior. The black interior has some nice padding on the sides, cider trim. So, but I wouldn't really feel bad if you're going to get the wheat interior. Don't make it be a deal breaker. There's never been a time where I've been driving down the road and I say to myself, oh man, I've got wheat interior, and it's not really that big of a deal to me. Okay. So moving on, next thing when it comes to purchasing your Hummer H2 is color. What color do you want? Some color combinations aren't available, or they're hard to find, just because this vehicle's been off the road for almost 20 years. Some color combinations only come available once a year, every few years. So you may not find the actual color or style like a sport utility truck. In 2008 sport utility truck was silver with Sedona interior. I've only seen it one time. It's sold in a week. So when a really good H2 comes for sale, they normally sell within a week. Places that I look for H2s: Carfax, Autolist, Edmunds, Craigslist, Facebook. If you're in the market for an H2, you really got to stay on top of it, because there's some people out there in the game. If I had my own garage, I would actually had to do it at my dad's garage. If I had my own garage, I'd have a couple more H2s right now. Anyway, we talked about the interior. Mileage. When it comes to mileage for Hummer H2s, I really want to be focused on the mileage. I'd rather be focused on the rust. I would rather have a Hummer H2 with 300,000 miles, no rust. Owner's a great person. has done regular maintenance on the vehicle, then have a Hummer H2 with 50,000 miles. It's completely rusted out. And I've heard many stories online where people have seen H2s 50, 100,000 miles, totally rusted out and gone. Another thing I want to quickly discuss is lot time. I'm looking at H2s, sort by lot time. Some H2s stay on a lot for literally years, which isn't good, but what are you going to do? You may find one that's, you say, hey, that's the one I want. It's been on the lot for 9 months, a year. The guy's selling it for XYZ. Throw him a low ball offer. Some dealers expect to take losses on the vehicle because these are such a lot of these vehicles are hard sells. So if a dealer pays, say, 12 grand for the vehicle, they may sell it to you for 11.5 just to get it off the lot, especially if it's been sitting there for a year plus or 9 months plus. So you'd be surprised when it comes to finding a really good deal. There's a lot out there for these vehicles. Now, this next part is extremely important. This is really the bread and butter, the funds. How much is one of these vehicles going to cost? Well, go into Carfax, My Car Value, type in the VIN, type in the zip code where you're purchasing the vehicle, and that'll give you an idea of how much the dealer paid for it. California is going to be more expensive than, like West Virginia, so the zip code is going to matter. It could be by a few $1,000s. So I recommend, so you're interested in purchasing a Hummer H2, okay, this is my recommendations. You're going to need $1,000 for inspections. It's going to be about $250 to $350 per inspection. So have someone come out, check out the Hummer H2 that you're interested in buying. Tools. If you don't have the tools, expect to have $2,500 set aside for tools. You're not buying a car, you're buying a hobby, and you're going to need the tools for your hobby. Drills, drill bits, jacks, jack stands, unique tools, gaskets. It can add up very, very quickly. Now, I recommend $12,000 for upgrades, and I know some people hearing that, they're going to say, what? $12,000? That's absolutely insane. Let me break that $12,000 down to you for real quick. These transmissions last approximately 125,000 miles. It's a 4L65E from the 2005 to 2007, 4L60 in 04 and 05. They're the same transmission, more or less the same transmission. It's a total crapshoot. There's some guys who get 100,000 miles. Some people get 125, 150, 168, 175, 215. Some people get as high as 300,000 miles out of their transmission. It's a total crapshoot. With that being said, say you're buying a low mileage Hummer H2 under 100,000 miles. Okay, you probably have about 20,000 miles or so. If you buy one with 80,000 miles, you can go to maybe 110, and then the question comes up, hey, when's it going to go? And when it happens, it just happens. So, for me, the idea of getting roadside stranded somewhere 10 hours away from home, like I take this H2 to Vermont quite often for snowboarding. A week after I got back from it, literally it was a 13-hour drive, the transmission failed. If this transmission would have failed when I was 13 hours away from home, I would have been super screwed and been in a place where I don't want to be. Stuck 13 hours from home, the car with a broken transmission. It's quite often the 3/4 input drum goes, which means you lose third and fourth gear. It's not a situation I want to be in. So I actually recommend that you get the transmission rebuilt as soon as you purchase the vehicle. Now that's going to be a decision you're going to have to make yourself, but the idea of being with your wife, kids, wife gets stranded, you get stranded in an area where you don't want to be at, no cell phone service, because I take this H2 all over the place. I do a lot of traveling with it. So I'm really glad that the transmission went out when it did. So how much is that going to cost? You're looking at $6,000 if you're going to have somebody do it. High quality Sonex parts. The parts alone are going to be $2,500. How do I know that? Because I've done it. I've rebuilt my transmission. I personally dropped it and rebuilt it in my dad's garage and put it back on the vehicle. If I had somebody else do it, that probably would have been, you know, $6,000, $5,800. So right there, there's $6,000. Running boards, they rust out. I had to go down to North Carolina. It was about $2,000 round trip for me to purchase the running boards and, you know, get them back on. So let's say you need running boards. That's why you'll see running boards aren't on a lot of these H2s. There's $8,000. You want to put in headers, catalytic converters, exhaust. There's another $3,000. That's just if you do it yourself. Now you're at 6, 9, 11, fluids, 11.5. Maybe you need a new set of mirrors because your Hummer didn't come with this. Now you're at 13,000. Random bulbs that need, you know, changed, sealing. You know, there's $100 right there. External radiator cooler. There's $200 for all the hoses. Send your fuel injectors in to get cleaned up. Couple coil packs. Ladies and gentlemen, we just hit 14, close to $14,000. Throw in a couple tie rods, maybe a broken airbag sensor. Again, you're at almost $15,000, and that's having someone. That's it. That's for you doing most of the work yourself. One of my doors got vandalized, and I had to purchase a brand new door from a J&J Auto Wrecking. They were awesome, super great. They're in Ohio. I think I had to pay $300 for this door, and I installed it myself. Powder coating the frame, fuel pump, U-joints. So you're saying, well, I don't want to do all that. So I'm not trying to scare you away, but I'm giving you a realistic idea of the cost of ownership. Now the vehicle it's up to speed. There's no issues. DTC codes. I can't tell you how many codes I had. Check engine lights, P300 codes, issues with the transmission. After I put it back on, I had to reinstall a new computer chip, new fuel filter. The one that the guy sold me, I think, was Chinese knockoff crap. My windshield actually needs replaced. It's got a rock. Actually came like that, so that needs eventually to be replaced. Haven't got around to that yet. Cleaning it, time, that's a big one. Now, can you go out and buy one? Yeah, you can go out and buy one, and you don't have to rebuild the transmission. You don't have to do the exhaust if you don't want to, but the transmission's the big one. Easily, that's something I would recommend setting funds aside to. In fact, go buy a junkyard transmission and rebuild it and have it rebuilt at home, so that when yours fails, you can just put it back in. It's a two-man job. So if you've stuck with me, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or any follow-up ideas for videos, let me know. But again, you're going to buy one of these. Prices go from $3,000 all the way up to $90,000 on average. I see a good H2 goes for about $20,000, $18,000. I've seen prices, and I used to follow it pretty closely. But you buy it for $20,000, I would easily have $10,000 set aside for repairs, upgrades. So let me tell you, as I said earlier, you can go through cash through this thing real quick. I can spend 10 grand real quick. So I'm not trying to persuade you away from the vehicle, nor am I being negative. I am just giving you, real life, advice from an owner. And I've done everything I've listed to you. Oh, brake line. I forgot about the brake line. The brake lines go on these. That was that's the one thing I didn't do. Brake line, that was, I think, $3,500, $3,000. A tie rod, it came out to like $3,800 plus an airbag sensor. I did the airbag sensor myself. That was $4,000. There's $4,000. Running boards, now you're at 6. Exhaust, now you're at 9. Fluids, 9,500. Mirror, at 10,700. Door, we're at 11,000. Stuff for the engine, air intake, we're at 11,300. New battery. The batteries, Odyssey's a good battery for these. A lot of owners have weak batteries in these, so you're almost at that 12,500, 13,000. So good luck, and let me know if you pick up an H2.